Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This video was highly requested today and I am going to show you how I go through this edit. So a lot of you really wanted to know how I preserved the details in the clouds and got them super moody and dark and clear at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did that. And so this is the after photo, and then this is the raw straight out of camera image. So I'm not going to be able to get it exactly like this image today, but I will get it as close as I can and use the same preset and all of that good stuff. So we're going to jump right into it. This is the raw file, and I'm going to straighten it out just a little bit. And this was shot on a Canon 5D Mark III. I was shooting on a Sigma 35mm 1.4 art lens, and the ISO was set at 250, and then f3.2, and then an 800th of a second. So that's all that technical stuff right there. You can see it up here in the corner. And let's just jump right into it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to play with the clouds a little bit. So we're going to click on this tool right here. And this is a paintbrush tool, so you can kind of slide up and down on your mouse and you can kind of paint on whatever you want. So I'm going to bring down the exposure just a little bit and I'm going to start painting on. So you can see right away that the clouds are getting moodier and darker. And shooting in RAW really preserves these details, so always remember to shoot in RAW. It's just kind of like insurance for your photos. So I'm just going to paint that on, and as you can see, you don't want to go, that's extreme right there. That's a little too much. It looks a little fake, and so you want to be really careful. And you can also go lighter. That's what it looks like there. So it's all in what you want to do and your preference. I'm going to go just a little bit like that, and that looks good to me. I'm just going to kind of spot treat it a little bit, just like that. So I'm going to close that out, and then I'm going to start playing with the subject. So I'm going to bring up the shadows, like so. I'm going to bring up the blacks, and then I'm going to add some contrast. I'm going to drop the exposure just a little bit. I'm going to bring up the clarity just a tad. Don't want it too HDR looking. I'm going to bring up that sharpening tool and saturation just a tad, and it's all I'm playing around with this, so do what you like. Bring down shadows just a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so when I adjusted the overall image, I lost a little bit of the detail in the clouds, so I'm going to go back to that brush tool. I'm going to select the stroke that I did. You can kind of see it. And then I'm going to bring it down just a tad, a little bit more, and it's starting to look a little fake over here. So I'm going to take this eraser tool, I'm going to make it pretty big, and I'm just going to lightly spot treat it over here, and a little bit over here, just so it doesn't look too fakey. Perfect. Okay, back on brush A, bring up that contrast, let's warm it up just a little bit up here. Perfect. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to add my presets. So I do use the Tribe Archipelago presets, and I purchased the KLN set, and I'm going to use, let's see here, I'm going to try the KLN 04C. It's a little too dark. Let's see what it looks like warmed up. Oops. Wrong tool. You can warm it up a little bit. Yeah, not feeling that one. It's a little too warm for me. Yeah, so I'm going to use the KLN 04. Let's see how that looks. That looks a little better. Now the presets did kind of mess around with the settings, so I'm going to drop the contrast, bring this up a little bit, bring the exposure up a little bit, and warm it up. Bring that exposure down. Bring up that saturation, and bring up the greens just a tad, because it did mess with that a little bit. Now with all these presets, they do add grain, and I'm not a huge fan of the grain, so I'm going to bring that down. That's super important, just because my ISO was super high and I don't want it any more grainier than what it has to be. So I'm going to bring up the sharpening tool just a little bit. It's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go back in the brush tool. It's all about adding and taking away and adding and taking away, just in tiny little steps. So I'm going to bring the clouds down like so. I'm going to take that out, add it just a little bit again. I'm going to spot treat it again. It's a little too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a new brush stroke. So I'm going to click new, and then I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit. Bring it down. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. That looks a little better. I'm gonna fix this a little bit. I mean, we could spend hours on this, so I'm just gonna kind of go through really quick. For the sake of this video, I don't want it to be like 5 hours long. I'm gonna click this eraser tool and just kind of clean up my dress a little bit, and my arm, and my little claw hand. There we go. Perfect. And then my little foot. Awesome. So that looks good. And I'm just going to warm up the overall image just a tad. Awesome. Make it a little bit more moody. Cool. I'm going to lighten up my face just a tad. So I'm going to add a new brush tool. I'm going to set everything at 0 just so it doesn't confuse me, and then I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit, and I'm going to click on my skin, his jacket, just a little bit, and I'm going to raise that, and then bump the saturation down just a little bit so my skin doesn't look, you know, red. So that looks good. The only thing is I'm not liking this spot over here. It looks a little fakey, and I think that was this brush tool. There we go. Okay. And then as you can see, while I was doing that, I kind of made my shoulder a little bit darker. So I'm going to click the erase tool and just fix that. And I'm going to just kind of dabble along. Awesome. Okay, this is the final look. Obviously you don't have to use presets. You can totally just mess with this panel right here and achieve, you know, the colors that you want and all that good stuff. So if you don't have the Canon presets, that is okay. Go ahead and just copy these settings right here. You can achieve that look without purchasing presets. So this is the final image. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Please like and subscribe for more photography related videos, and I will see you next time. Thanks guys.